Coming up on this episode of Flirtations, we welcome Anna Goldfarb, a journalist, speaker, and author of the book Modern Friendship, How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections, to have a conversation with us about, well, friendship. So much to get into today as we take on friendship in adulthood and the modern phenomenon many of us can relate to of where is home? We'll also dig into the sociology of friendship. Are our societies set up for making connections? If not, how can we overcome both visible and invisible barriers and create connections anyway? Then from parallel play to active versus memorial friendships, we're breaking down different friendship dynamics, the reasons we make friends in the first place, and the qualities we look for in our friends. Finally, we've got time for the loneliness epidemic. Why are so many of us feeling lonely these days? The role social media plays in all of this, and what hyper-individualism, this I don't owe anyone anything mentality, means for our connections, relationships, and friendships. So, if you're curious to eavesdrop on a conversation about modern friendship between a bona fide friendship expert and a flirt coach, this episode is for you. Let's get into it, flirties.
I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. I heard you wanted to flirt. Hello, my name is Benjamin. I'm the flirt coach and a gay Libra. Everyone has an inner flirt.
Hey, flirty.
Live, laugh, flirt.
Work the flirt.
Work the flirt. Delulu is the Salulu. Expert on the flirt.
Hey, flirty. There's always another flirt.
Everyone has an inner flirt. Get out of your head and into the flirt.
Flirties. On the show today, we have Anna Goldfarb, a speaker, journalist, and author of the book Modern Friendship, How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections, to have a conversation with us about friendship, community connection, and our social networks in the modern world. Anna, hello and welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on Flirtations. How is your day going so far?
Day's going swell. I'm hanging out with my cats.
Yeah.
And it's actually warm in Philly today. So I'm going to go for a walk today and try to be like a good adult. Everything's like take a walk. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a walk.
Some good grounding, some fresh air, some sunshine on the face. Yeah, we're both on the East Coast, and we're having, as we're recording today, the taste, the spring is in the air.
A whisper of spring. I can hear her whispering.
She's there. She's coming for us. I'm so ready. So
For real.
I think I want to ask you here right at the start about your book, Modern Friendship. Yeah. And what was the inspiration or how that work came to be, how you got started in this?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with friendship. I'm high key obsessed with this relationship. I've always been a pinball. I've moved around a lot. And I look at other kids who were born and raised and had these long-standing relationships, and I've always felt really jealous. I don't have anyone who's known me since I was a little kid, besides my family. I grew up in upstate New York, and then I moved outside Chicago, and then I went to school in New York City, and now I live in Philly. So I will never organically run into anyone I grew up with ever. Yeah. At any time. And that's a really strange existence to have. It's very modern. It's very modern to move around a lot and feel like when people say, where are you from? I don't even know how to answer it. It's like, spin a wheel, pick a place. I mean, so what does that do to someone when they're not from anywhere? And how does that impact their friendships? I was just really wanted to learn as much as I could about it. And what I learned was very validating. What I learned was this is becoming more and more the norm for people our age and our generation.
Yeah.
You know, you look back at not even that far back, like our grandparents.
Yeah.
They probably lived in the same house for 60 years? My husband's grandma lived in the same house for 93 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right down the street in Philly, like a block and a half away.
Wow.
So just think of how differently that impacts who's your circle and who you seek out and who you can rely on.
Yeah.
It's just it's like very different challenges that we have.
Yeah, some good points right here at the top. Are we of the same generation? Are we both millennials, Anna?
I'm 46. I'm old.
What? No way.
I know. I do Trenton Owen. I know. I look like I'm a solid 37, but joke's on you, I'm 46.
Oh my God. Okay. So I mean, would you still consider yourself a millennial or?
Yes, I'm a bit of a late bloomer, so
Okay.
I'm definitely more millennial in my habits, my orientations.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
How old are you?
Me as well. Or millennial. I am going to be 40 this year.
Oh my God, look at us.
Yeah. Also using the tretinoin.
Yes, look at us.
You know what?
Look at us.
I think it works.
It really does. It's like one of the only things that science says really moves the needle.
Yeah.
On skincare and aging. So
I'm sticking
I get
with it. Speaking of, I need to get mine refilled.
Yeah. This is an important conversation.
It's time
to get it refilled.
But I will say, I feel like I've had a really different experience growing up, where your experience sounds a lot like my mom's, where she moved pretty much every year. She was starting every year growing up in a new school. And I've talked to her some about that experience. And one of the things that happened is, as an adult, she doesn't have those lifelong friends. Whereas I am still in touch with people that I was in elementary school with. Like one of my best friends from 3rd grade lives down the street.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really special. That's really special to have that. But it also has its own challenges of growing alongside people, and how much can you expect to still be on the same page? So, I mean, it's what I learned about modern friendship is there's a lot of trade-offs. And while, our ancestors probably lived in the same village, back in the old country, they had a lot less opportunity. Women probably didn't go to school. They probably only had a few jobs they could have even done.
Yeah.
Mostly they got married and had kids. The upside of that is that you find more people with the same identity as you. I'm a wife, I'm a mother. Same, me too. What do we talk about? Being wives and mothers. But now we have so much flexibility. We have unlimited flexibility on who we can associate with, what we can do. There aren't as many barriers.
Yeah.
But the trade-off is that it's so much easier to shed our relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just pick up new people. It's a big trade-off. So it's very different. It's a very different world that we live in.
Yeah, I think you're really speaking to this fairly modern phenomenon where, for the longest time, we lived in the same place forever. And our social networks were our family, perhaps our religious institutions, our places of employment if we were working. And so you had these built-in social networks where you met people. You really didn't have to think about, where am I going to meet people? Not because, transportation was limited and those opportunities were limited, but it took a lot of the guesswork out of connection and community.
Yeah. And it's almost like when you go to a store and they just have Dial soap, and it's like, what's your favorite soap? It's like, well, we only have Dial. That's cool.
Yeah.
But then you go to Aesop, or you go to some other place, you're like, what's your favorite soap? You're like, oh my God, do I want the vetiver? Do I want...
You got so many more options.
So many more options is what I'm trying to ineloquently talk about, is that... this option, we have so many options with our connections of even who to reach out to. We have dozens and dozens of connections, hundreds of connections we've made over our life.
Yeah.
Compared to your relative in the shtetl or in the little community that really just had a handful of friends. They didn't have to manage dozens and dozens of people they've met, through school, through job, through their work, through their community. It's very, very different, the challenges that we have. And now we have social media where your connections are all scrambled, and they're presented to you in a feed where these people that you're seeing probably only share common history with you, not with each other. And that experience is very alienating. It's really making us feel so lonely, because we're popping into these rooms by ourselves, and it's not like our feed is all communicating with each other. It's there's my childhood friends, there's my work friends, there's my hobby friends, and it's very disparate, and it's not how our social life is supposed to look.
Right. I agree. And we're going to come back to the theme of loneliness and isolation a little bit, because I definitely want to ask you some more questions there. But hearing a little bit more about your experience, I'm curious now what it's been like making friends as an adult for you, moving around, finding yourself in some new places. Yeah, what's that been like?
I've always been a big bird. I've always wanted to meet everyone on the street, everyone on the block. I'm very cheerful. I was voted most cheerful in 8th grade. So I'm an OG cheerful kid. And what I learned is that that's part of what makes it easier for me to meet friends. And that's a trait researchers call agreeableness. I'm very agreeable. I assume people are mostly good until proven otherwise. Yeah. Some people aren't as agreeable. They're more of an Oscar the Grouch. And they might feel more guarded of, well, this person's out to get me. I don't really know what their motives are.
Right.
I'm not as trusting.
Right.
So what I learned is I have an easier time making friends because I'm agreeable. And what I learned writing this book is that friendships can be diagnosed. Like humans are baffling, but we're also simple in that there's only a few things that really drive us. And there's a study done in 2020 of what the 5 most common reasons people seek friends out. What are the 5 most common reasons people make friends?
Okay.
And the first was career. You want people to help with your work. Second is mating. You want to meet people, you want to go out clubbing, try to meet people to hook up with. Third is emotional support. You want people like giving advice. We go to our friends for advice and emotional support.
Okay.
Fourth is called desirable qualities, which is basically they're funny, they're fun, they're into the same stuff as you, they have the same hobbies and passions. And the fifth one is what they call sociability. Okay. And that means you just want to be a part of something like joining a kickball league or a book club. You just want to be out and about.
Okay.
So as I learned that, you can work with this information of, well, what can I offer a friend? Why would a friend want to be friends with me? Are we in the same career? Oh, hey, we both are journalists.
Okay.
That could be interesting. We know I can help you with, how can I help with your work? How can I help with your career goals? That's a way to make friends. Giving advice, learning how to give advice, learning how to be like an emotional support.
Yeah.
So people want me come to me to share their problems. Like this is the limited reasons people seek out friends. And I've learned how to up those skills and how to lean into those things so that I'm friendable.
Okay. This is really helpful, simplifying what can feel like a really complex process. And one thing I'm hearing is, because sometimes I hear from the flirties that are, because I'm more introverted myself, I do have social anxiety. And so I think sometimes when we identify with those traits, if they're present for us, we feel like, oh, this thing, making friends, going on dates, meeting partners is going to be insurmountably more difficult for me because I'm not because I'm not the extrovert. But I think what you're offering here is a different framework that, based on some of your innate qualities, maybe even your personality traits, agreeableness being one of them, it doesn't matter, introvert, extrovert, anxiety, you're feeling pretty calm. It's about what you can offer potential friendships and how you like to connect with people as well.
Yeah. And I don't think people ask, like, why would someone want to be my friend? Why would I feel entitled to someone's friendship?
Yeah.
I've fallen into this thinking, well, I've known her since I was 12. She'll be my friend forever. And you take it for granted instead of thinking, well, why would she want to continue this friendship with me? What am I bringing to her life? Where do I fit in? Do I help her with these things that she cares about? Do I offer her practical support? Do I offer her emotional support?
Yeah.
I realized that I was feeling inadequate with these things. I don't know how to offer emotional support. Maybe you didn't have someone model that for you.
Right.
So I had to learn how to do it. I had to learn how to stop giving unsolicited advice. I had to learn that when I tell people, oh, don't be sad, or I try to convince them to not be sad, I was managing my own anxiety about seeing a friend in distress. I wasn't actually helping them with their problem. So that's what I'm hoping my book can help people with is these are skills you can sharpen. It doesn't take that much time. It's really just learning a few strategies so that people love being your friend.
Yeah.
And I really see the conversation as how can I get more friends? How can I make more friends? Not how can I be a stellar friend that people will want to keep the connection going.
Yeah. I think speaking to this theme that I see in dating a lot of quantity over quality. And I think, yeah, sometimes we fall into a little bit of a trap of just wanting to, go out and make all these friends, because that can be really validating for us, right? That we're liked, that we're valued, that people want us or they need us. And so what you're saying is focus more on the quality of the connection, the relationship, the friendship, and how is it nurturing and mutually supportive?
Yeah, and it's more empowering. It's much more empowering.
Okay.
Instead of hoping other people, want to keep you around or want to reach out to you or want to do things for you.
Yeah.
It's how can I help? How can I find the best people that I admire, that I can help them with things that they care about, and that I can be a part of it. I can be a witness to these amazing people.
Yeah.
That's a very different way to orient yourself with friendship. And that's a more empowering way to think about it of, I love my friend. I want to be a remarkable friend to them.
Yeah.
Studies show that people think they'll be happier with more friends, but what actually makes us happier is being considered someone's best friend.
Oh my gosh.
It's having the people you love point to you and say, that's my best friend. And that's because that's a great measure of our inner beauty, our integrity, our good character.
Yeah.
I mean, our phones are full of friends that we have, but we don't call them. Like, what is up with us? What is up with modern life?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna come back to that point there as well. And because you mentioned, I think maybe my favorite C word in all of this, over and above communication, consistency, chemistry, compatibility, all important in your relationships, friendships, platonic, romantic, but it's the consideration piece that I think often gets overlooked. And that's the one that I think is just so important, because you want to feel just valued, right? You want to feel seen and understood in who you are, and that someone is with you to be your friend or partner because they genuinely like you, not just what you can do for them or because you have the job or a status or money or something. Yeah.
You just reminded me that when I first moved to Philly, I had lost my job. I was working at Paper Magazine. And I got laid off with 9/11. I worked 10 blocks from Ground Zero. And I didn't even know if I'd have a job. I didn't know if our building was still standing. Like I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And then I got laid off as soon as we got back to work. And I moved to Philly. I only knew one person, and he was on tour. So I didn't know anyone in this town. And I really thought, like, why would anyone want to be my friend? I can't get them into any parties. I can't get them on the guest list. What do I have to offer anyone? Why would anyone want to be my friend here?
Yeah.
And what I did was I called my one friend who I knew who was on tour, and his roommate picked up. I started hanging out with his roommate. I'm like, I just moved here. I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
And through him, I met my best friend, who I'm still best friends with. Who was dating the guy who I knew was on tour. And I told her, I'm like, I don't know why you'd want to be my friend. I literally was like, I have nothing to offer. I don't know anyone here. And she's like, I get a kick out of you. I think you're funny.
Yes.
Like, I don't care what you can. That's not even a consideration.
Right.
And that really was so powerful to me, that someone would want to be with me just because they liked me, not because of what I could do for them.
Yeah.
Thank you for unlocking this memory of like why I'm so obsessed with friendship, because it was such a gift to give me of like, I don't care where you work. I don't care if you have a cool job. Philly doesn't care. Philly does not ask you, what do you do? No one asks you. No one cares.
I love that. I think maybe where I live in North Carolina would be a little bit of the same too, right? There's not like, we don't have a Hollywood or a Broadway or like something like that here. So it's not really about like what you do or what you can do, but more so I would like to think about who you are. We just like each other's energy and personalities and just have a good time together. Like that's what I'm looking for. That was a
revelation for me. That was a revelation. I was like, wow, I feels like someone really likes me for me.
Yeah.
And we're still friends. We're going to do a slumber party for our birthdays next month. This
I
is
love it.
25 years later, like
I
20
love
years
it.
later.
Ah.
So it can happen. It can happen.
Yes. And so in this era of modern friendship, we've been talking about some of the qualities that make a good friend. Yeah, what more would you like to add here about some of those things we can look for in ourselves, but also in others to, yeah, when it comes to friendship?
Well, what I learned is really important is that you share the same values. And that's not something I was great at. I sort of bulldozed past the values and just
Yeah.
looked at the other shiny things that I liked and then always would come to bite me in the butt of, oh yeah, we don't share the same values. Oh yeah, I've seen this for a while.
Yeah.
And I realized that we're not on the same page.
Yeah.
I can't overstate how important sharing values are.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that you both, listen, this is how it can get expressed. Like, say you don't value money the same way, and then your friend wants to go do, cruises or expensive trips. And you're like, no, I don't value, that's not how I want to spend my money.
Yeah.
This can become a huge wedge issue between you of like, I feel like my friend doesn't get me
Yeah.
because she doesn't suggest things that are in line with my values. So I didn't start out being like, do we share the same values? Cool. But that's why it's important to go slow in your friendships and
Okay.
really discern.
Okay.
Do we share the same values? I think something people underestimate is how long friendships take to take hold.
Yeah.
Studies show it takes 200 hours to go from stranger to best friend.
Okay.
200 hours. Even just like stranger to like friend is 34 hours. That's a lot of time.
It is. I'm thinking about how I've been making friendships recently in these last few years. And I feel like, it really does. Like for the longest time, I feel like it's similar to romantic relationships. I was looking for that spark right away, just that instant connection, right? Besties within the blink of an eye. But it just doesn't really happen like that because you tend to bond and connect over some things you have in common. Like, oh, we both like the same music or the same movies or books or something like that. But then over time, is through those conversations and spending time with one another that you actually get to see and learn about someone's values, who they are, what do they think about the world, how do they live their life, how do they show up for themselves, I think is wildly important. Yeah, and that's only revealed over time.
It's revealed over time. And that's just something to know as you think about friend-making efforts or making new friends.
Yeah.
I would say go slow. Give it a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a long time to really get to know someone. And
It does.
I wasn't always as discerning. It's like, oh, she likes Joy Division. I like Joy Division.
Yeah.
Are you my
Yeah.
best friend?
Yeah.
And that's a great starting point, but I was
Yeah, it
rushing
is.
into friendships of like, oh, this is my best friend. And then you realize, oh, we actually don't share the same values on, oh, wow, a few things. Oh, now this is a crisis. Like,
Yeah.
So that's really
important.
important do we share the same values? And also modeling for our friends of this is how I practice friendship is important. I say to my friends, if we're meeting, they're like, oh, I'm running late. I'll say, don't rush. Don't take your time. Take your time.
Okay.
Don't rush.
Okay.
And now we start saying it to me of I'm running late. Don't rush. Take your time.
Yeah.
And modeling this is how I practice friendship. Like,
I love it.
to be, like you said, consideration of I understand that the world is a unpredictable, complex place. And I'm here to support you because I love you. That's the message that we can send our friends. Also, being flexible is important when you're making friends. And I've committed the sin of being too rigid and getting very, like being a little brat when my friend's situation changes. And I think this overlaps with dating because,
Oh, definitely.
and feeling really attached to how we practiced our friendship. And we used to go out all the time and we have brunch. Oh, wait, now you're in a relationship. Oh, I'm not the brunch partner. And the roles are changing. And I used to get very, very upset about that. I was very rigid in my friendships. And as I've gotten older, especially in my 40s, I'm way more flexible because it's important that my friend enjoys being in a friendship with me. It's not enough that I'm like, you're my best friend and I expect XYZ in this laundry. It's like, no, I want them to feel like I'm flexible and I'm open and I'm here to support them with whatever they're going through.
Yeah, I used to be that way in my friendships as well. It was very tit for tat kind of thing. Or I would take things very personally, and rather than express what was on my mind or what was in my heart, just sort of expect them to read my mind. Or now I'm having all these thoughts. I'm having conversations with them just out loud in my apartment or in my head or with my cat. And then it built some resentment. And then you start to have that wall, that barrier that comes into play, and then you start to pull away or you push them away. But I think, we're a lot to talk about, but friendships can also be these spaces, I think, for practice and for healing and really can bring us so much connection, especially if we are not dating, right? If we don't have the romantic relationship right now, I think friendships are important regardless of your relationship status. But certainly if you're single, like you gotta have some of those friends in your life.
Yeah.
All right. Anna, as I was doing my flirt search, I came across a tidbit of information that I think we might have in common.
Yeah.
Did you major in sociology?
I sure did.
Same.
Look at us.
Same. What drew you to sociology?
Well, I wanted to do creative writing, but they didn't offer it at my college.
Okay.
Like I wanted to be a writer.
Well, you came full circle there.
I was like, you can't hold me back. I can't hold me back. But what I liked about sociology was that they had these classes, the sociology of youth, that I thought like, oh, that's really fascinating about youth culture. And I just found sociology like a great entryway. I took psychology, but I wasn't as drawn to it. Like there's parts of psychology in my book, but I think sociology is really fascinating for how, groups of how people interact, move through the world, look at the world.
Yes.
And I just found it so much more fascinating. I loved mass media classes. I mean, I mastered in journalism. I got my master's in journalism. Like I've loved anything with media.
Yes.
And sociology is like kind of an underdog. I feel like nobody really.
Oh my gosh, it so is. But you know what? I think it's making a comeback.
Underrated.
Yes.
It should make a comeback because
totally underrated. I think it's been slept on a little bit.
It's been slept on.
Yeah.
Yes.
But wildly important. And conversations I'm having with new friends that are younger, they're just finishing their undergrad degrees, or they're thinking about school or sort of what comes next with their education and their training. And they're really interested, a lot of them, in sociology.
That's, I have a lot of sociology in my book. And that was the part that I felt set my work apart from a lot of these other friendship books.
Yes.
Is because I got into the sociology of it. What's going on here?
Okay. And that's where we're going to spend some time talking about society.
Yes, society.
Because our societies, wherever we live in the world, the flirt community is truly global. We can only, digital media and communication aside, if we're meeting people in person, maybe using some technological tools to help connect us and link us up, it's like we're still looking for things that we can do in our world. And my experience with sociology, so I went on to earn a master's degree in urban and regional planning. And so my sociological background, that's a mouthful.
I know, it's a mouthful.
Oh my gosh, I paired it with geography. And so I was taking classes like sociology of the city and sociology of like urban form and urban development and how our cities are designed, engineered, and structured, even things like architecture and how that influences our ability to make connections and build communities, right? Our built environments greatly influence our social networks. And I know we've seen a degradation of our social networks as our lives have transitioned to become more online, right?
They're in our phone.
They're in our phone.
We're in our phone.
We've lost a lot of spaces, third spaces. I think a lot of flirties have heard about, just where we can meet people that are free, right? There's a cost barrier to just about everything these days. Those are just a few things that are coming to mind. So I'm curious, when it comes to society and how it exists in modernity. How has that impacted our ability to make friends?
Well, it's certainly made it more challenging of where to practice your friendship.
Yeah.
And it's part of the why schools are so easy to make friends when you're in school and you see people at the same time every day in the same spaces every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's a real shock when people graduate school and are on their own and they don't have this entity
Yeah.
to help even.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are really shocked at the drop off of social support once they graduate school. And our friendships decline after 25 and they fall off a cliff after 30. And that's because people are more motivated about their career and, just like those things with friendship, like career and mating. And when you settle down and mating's off the I don't want to go out and try to meet people. I'm settled down. I have someone that you have to renegotiate your friendships of what is our friendship about now? If it's not about going out partying, trying to meet people, well, what does our friendship look like? You have to renegotiate it. And that might be the first time you've had to renegotiate your friendships as an adult.
Wow.
So it's just like inevitable. It's not a surprise that people are having a tough time, but I think it really catches them off guard. It certainly caught me off guard.
Yeah.
I was really into punk rock and the music scene, and that was an easy place for me to meet people because I would just go to shows.
Yes.
And then I moved to Philly and I was into dance parties. I mean, Philly has a great dance party scene.
Yeah.
That's where I would go all the time. That's where I spent all my time is like going to parties. And if I didn't have that, if I didn't have a place or a hobby that was so interesting and compelling to me, you have to negotiate it. Like, where am I going to make friends? Where am I going to go? It really helps to be deeply interested in things when you're trying to make friends because it's about finding other people that are as deeply interested in the thing as you.
Yes.
And even now when I make friends, I'm obsessed with writing. I'm obsessed with journalism. I want to meet other journalists. It's an easy entry into, hey, you care about this too?
Yeah.
But for other people, they have to find that thing. Like, what is that thing that you would leave your house to do? And I think that's the challenge of what is it? If you love playing video games, you don't need to leave the house to do that. You're not going to meet people if your interest doesn't involve or even necessitate other people.
Yeah, I think you're offering the 40s right now some good suggestions for where to meet people and how to make new friends, but then also highlighting this challenge of what if I don't know what I like? What if I'm not sure what I'm interested in? Or what if I feel like, maybe it's a run club I want to do, but it's 6 a.m. and I'm not a morning person, or I don't like groups, or I have a lot of anxiety. And so then you start to feel like there's some barriers there that get in the way. And so then what do? Maybe you rely more on the internet and social media and digital tools to connect you, but they don't replace those in-person connections. So I think you're highlighting a very real challenge for a lot of people, a lot of flirties listening, but also offering a solution at the same time, which I love that model.
We love that. We love it. I have a lot of friends online that I do like virtual. I just had a virtual meeting with my author friends this morning. We're all in different places. But the limitations of those is that we're not making new memories together. I can't say to them, remember that time we, had hot chocolate on the beach or whatever? Like, it's a non-memory doing a video chat. I will remember this, Benjamin. Like, I will remember talking with you. But that's why we have this incredible connectivity. We can meet and talk with people all over the country, but we're not making memories together. You can't say, you can't draw on that. That creates a shared memory with someone, and that's so powerful. And that's what you have with your friend from third grade down the street is remember that time we
absolutely
whatever.
Yeah.
That's the gushy stuff. That's the delicious stuff of friendship. And that's why your friendships may not feel fulfilling if your friendships are just mediated online.
That's a really good point. And I'll never forget this conversation either.
We'll never forget it.
I'm living for it because what's coming to mind as we talked about in the conversation a little bit earlier is those built-in social networks we used to have, and they're still there in some form. You mentioned education. It could be work. It could be our neighborhoods, our communities. It could be our religious institutions. And so you had these places built in where you would meet people. And what would happen is if you needed someone to watch your kid one day, you needed a ride to the airport, you needed, right, classic example, a cup of sugar. You can't get those things from your digital friends. They're not here in your physical world. So valuable and important. I love that we can have things like online book clubs and record this interview digitally, all virtual. But when it gets right down to it, if I needed a ride to work, I couldn't ask you for that.
You hire an Uber.
Yeah.
You would outsource it. We outsource these favors. And you're bringing up a really important point.
Yeah.
That a lot of friendships have transitioned from favor-based friendships to entertainment-based friendships.
Ooh, I was going to ask you about that. Yes, this is a big trend on social media right now.
And of like, let's get dinner, let's get lunch, let's go out, let's go. Like when you talk about the third space, it's become more entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's been a real shift from, can you help me build a deck? Can you help me move? Can you give me a ride?
Yeah.
Growing up, we're of the age of we know what life was like before we had apps to fill in the gaps.
Yes,
which is like a rhyme, which is a great rap. Before we had apps to fill in the gaps, we had to rely on each other, and that strengthened social bonds. I can't tell you to fuck off because I need you to drive me to the airport. You know, I need help. Yeah. But if you don't have that incentive, it's like, oh, I could hire someone. I mean, what research says is the more money you have, the more you outsource these favors. You hire someone to do it. Lower income people, they're much more likely to still use that favor economy.
Yeah.
So it's the loneliness epidemic isn't dispersed equally amongst different classes. If you can afford to live more privately, to have a gated community, to keep people out. Like that's what luxury affords you, is the freedom from people. I don't have to rely on anyone.
Yeah. And
I'm going on a soapbox. I'm going on a little tangent.
No, I love it. This is exactly where I wanted the conversation to go today. And I wanted to mention here, I've seen this trend, which I mean has always existed, of kind of the no point hangs, where you're not getting together with friends to do something, to spend money, to go to the movie, to build the IKEA desk or whatever. You're literally just hanging out. One of you is cooking dinner, one of you is doing some homework, working on a project, but then you come together and you eat, or you're talking while you're doing your activities, but there's not really this point. And I think we so often engineer our social connections to always be doing something, right? We have to get together to that. We are going to a restaurant or we're going to a concert and
some goal.
Yes, our friendships become very goal oriented.
What you're talking about is what researchers call parallel play.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's yes. And that's what I do with my husband actually a lot. Like we'll both play video games near each other. Like I'll be on my Switch and he'll be in it, and we'll just be near each other. Yeah. And I do that with friends too sometimes, of like, let's just come to a cafe. We can both work on some stuff.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And then you touch, you're part of something.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to come, back to, and you mentioned it just a moment ago, loneliness. Because I think even with our education and our work, so much of it has transitioned to online learning and online work. And you're starting to see, you're definitely seeing some of that pull back into in-person learning, in-person work. But I think these trends of kind of having these two parallel worlds between the physical and the digital will always be there. And one thing that I'll never forget from my sociology training in school was this book called The Lonely American. And it's got the word American in the title, but it transcends our country. It transcends America, and I think applies all over the world, and really speaks to loneliness and isolation, and how we have this world where we can be more connected than ever, and yet we feel so disconnected a lot of the time. Yeah, I'd like to hear what are your thoughts?
Well, I I explain in my book that a lot of us live in a social network that resembles a bicycle spoke. It's called a spoke network, where we're in the middle.
Okay.
And we have these branches of cohorts that only share common history with you, not with each other. Just like how social media has amplified this.
Okay.
And that's part of it's inevitable to feel lonely when your coworkers don't know your childhood friends and they don't know your, friends from your kickball league and they don't know, and there's no cohesion. There's very little cohesion.
Yeah.
In a lot of our lives.
Yeah.
2 of my best friends didn't even meet until my book release party.
Wow.
Like, there's just no reason for them to cross paths. And it's like,
right.
oh, I've heard about you for 10 years. It's very interesting to live in a time when there's not as much cohesion. Now, think back to when we were in school. Most of us just had a little group of friends and you only focused on a few people and you had everything you needed. It's like you weren't trying to juggle all these different groups of friends from different parts of your life.
Right.
But in adulthood, that's exactly what our challenge is how do we juggle all these different groups? And we have no help. We have no help. We have to individually make a case for each friendship about whether to keep it active or not.
Yeah.
One thing that I really learned, a concept that was very, very helpful to me, was that there are 2 categories of friendships. There's memorial friends and there's active friends.
Okay.
And memorial friends are those ones that, from childhood that you don't speak to very often, but you have a lot of affection for. And those active friendships are ones that you see today. You talk to them all the time. They know your life. They know that you're trying to be vegan right now. They know that your knee's been wonky and that we can't go on long walks. Like they know details of your life that your memorial friends may not be privy to.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that when people hear these concepts and they have a language for it and they can understand to categorize what they're seeing, it will make them feel more understood of like, oh, these are memorial friendships. Like it's going to feel different. I don't have to have this guilt of, should I be reaching out? I haven't heard from them. Oh, it's their birthday. They never wrote back to me. Like, what's up with this friendship?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's a memorial friendship. So everything's okay. You don't have to give anyone up.
Yeah.
But the expectations are very different than an active friendship. And to focus on the active friendships in your life.
Okay.
And just to have a plan, to have a strategy.
Yeah, this is really helpful, that distinction between active and memorial friends. A new connection I'm making. And when you mentioned the word understood, I think that the lack of understanding in our friendships is what is driving a lot of the loneliness epidemic. It's not that we necessarily lack friends or lack the ability to make friends. It's that, are we making the time to really dedicate to our friendships and aligning ourselves with people that hold some similar values and interests so that we can feel understood in our connections. And I wanted to highlight a couple things here that I think may be indicative of modern friendships. This one thing that I've done it, we've all done it, right? It's sort of like, let's say you're passing someone on the streets of Philly. Oh, so good to see you. Let's grab coffee sometime, right? I'll text you, I'll call you. No, you're not.
Doesn't happen.
You're not. I strongly feel, and this is something I used to do all the time, I think we need to get away from this kind of appeasing of people as like, oh, yeah, let's indicate it's something, or kind of entertain something in the future when there's no intention of ever actually following through with that. I have become so intentional of when I say, hey, I'll text you, let's grab coffee. I am doing that. It may not be that day, it may not be the next day, but I will. And I think that is something that's helped me feel less lonely, because then it's like, oh, well, they didn't text me, or, oh, they weren't that interested, or something like you kind of maybe start to play a narrative in your mind. But if you can just show up more intentionally for yourself and look to make that time for friendships, I think that can go a long way in helping us feel less lonely.
I have a different take on that.
Oh, okay.
I think people say that as an aspirational thing of, I would love to get together with you. And it's almost an aspirational, like, I'm a fantasy almost of like, we should get together. Oh my God, that'd be so great. But the problem with that invitation is it's too vague.
Too vague. Okay.
Because it's get together to talk about what? Why should we get together? It's not enough information. So if I said to you, Benjamin, like, oh my gosh, you have a wonderful podcast. I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Do you want to get together for coffee? And I want to talk to you about like equipment that I should get.
Yeah.
If that's compelling to you,
Yeah.
we'll make that happen.
Yes.
But if I'm like vague, what uncertainty does to our brains is that it causes anxiety. Uncertainty causes anxiety.
Okay.
And that invitation was too vague of, well, why do you want to get together? Like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, why should I make time for, why should I, it's like too much to suss out.
Okay.
And I
get that.
That's a strategy that worked when we were younger and had all the free time in the world of let's get together Friday. Oh my God, sounds great. I have nothing on my calendar.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
But now we should get together. It's like, well, what to do what? And to talk about what? And where do you want to go? I mean, and then it just creates all this anxiety of I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that is a strategy from when we were younger and had more simple lives.
Okay. That's all right. I'm going to make
that's my hot take.
Switch. I love it. I really appreciate that. That helps shift my understanding of these interactions that happen all the time. Okay. Something to sit with for me. And I wanted to, I got just, I'm going to squeeze in a couple more questions in these last few minutes. This one, because this phenomenon that I think is somewhat modern, perhaps, that we see play out on social media a lot, where it's like, I don't owe anyone anything kind of mentality. And that really bothers me, Anna. I think we do owe people some things.
Well, it's hyper individualistic.
Oh,
it's like
my
this
gosh.
Individualism run rampant of I need no one.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be we wanted, I don't mean to interrupt you, but.
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
You know, there's this book called Habits of the Heart that was written in 1985. You would love it as a sociology head.
Okay.
And it's all about the rise of individualism. And they profile these different modern kinds of people and how they make choices in their life. I think you'd find it fascinating.
Yes.
It talks about how before we fought for the freedom to meet with whoever we wanted.
Yeah.
That was freedom, a freedom to assemble.
Yes.
Now we want freedom from people. We want the option to be like, I'm out. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to deal with your world. So freedom from people is now the aspiration. You know, that's what celebrities do. They go to a gated compound of, I don't want to deal with anyone. That's when you make it. That's success.
Yeah.
Is I don't want to deal with anyone. So the paradigm has shifted.
Wow.
All of that to say is that, you know, when people say like, I don't owe anyone anything, it's that attitude on steroids of
hyper individualism.
You know, I don't want to deal with your crap. I don't want to deal with your hangups. And that's individualism, you know.
Gosh.
That is what that is. It's a very different culturally than, you know, the East. You know, Eastern cultures that are like the individual is less important than the community, than the communal, than the whole. So this is where we're at.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's a big theme that came through in my education and in my work as a city planner. Is this we've designed certainly our cities here in America and a lot of places that have adapted and adopted westernized industrialization
Like,
and development. Leave me alone. Yep. I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to drive from point A to point B, home, isolationism, individualism. Don't talk to me. Don't touch me. Don't bother me.
Isn't that what celebrity is?
Oh my
Celebrity is like, leave me alone.
For real. I mean, but then where does connection, community, and socialization come in if we've designed our lives to literally be devoid of that?
Yeah, we don't want a neighbor knocking on our door for a cup of sugar.
Gosh.
Wouldn't you be like, what the hell? Like, go to 7-Eleven.
Go to the store. Leave me alone. Or would we even answer the door? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All
That's
right,
what we're dealing with.
We've got to end on a hopeful note, Anna. So as we start to conclude the conversation today, talking about modern friendship, maybe the future of friendship, where are we going?
The future of friendship is we are butterflies. We are all butterflies. And it has never been easier to shed friendships, to be like, I'm not into that anymore. I used to be into partying, but now I'm, into whatever, yoga. I'm a yoga head. I only want to hang out with other people who do yoga, and you just
Me
pick
too.
up and leave.
I literally taught yoga this morning. I rushed right from teaching to record this interview.
Yes. So we change. And, studies show we lose half of our friends every 7 years.
Yes.
Half of our friends every 7 years. And that's because we change, our interests change.
Yeah.
There's so much to be interested in, and it's like, oh, I love Harry Potter. Oh, no, wait, fuck J.K. Rowling. I hate Harry Potter. It's like, you're always oscillating your interests.
Yeah.
But my message is one of optimism, of once you realize what the music is, how being flexible, sharing values, like once you learn the gig, you'll be better prepared to weather these things. And this is how I do that in my life, is I tell my friends, you are important to me. I love being your friend. You're caring, you're hilarious, you're intelligent, and I want to be here for a long time. So what that means is what we can give our friends is certainty. We just talked about how uncertainty creates anxiety.
Yeah.
We live in an uncertain world. What does it mean that my friend liked my post or didn't like my post? What does it mean that they saw my story but didn't like it? It's like, what we can give our friends is certainty and say, I love you, you're my friend, and you're important to me. So there's an opportunity here too. Of, just like you said, being intentional, but showing your friends, this is how I practice friendship. I reassure them. I give them certainty. Even my friends who've moved away in my circle, I could be like, listen, I know that you can't spend as much time on our friendship as you'd want. I know you think about me all the time. It's okay. I'll be, my door's open for when you're ready to resume our friendship. And giving that flexibility to people. So it's an opportunity too, of saying, I know life is crazy and unpredictable. I know you're prioritize your relationship right now. I know you're prioritizing work right now, but I'm here to support you. I love you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I feel like I can exhale just taking in these words because
it doesn't feel good.
Oh my God, your friendship should be, yes, there's going to be ebbs and flows and we change our friendships, right? As we change, but bringing some certainty into our connections where we can be ourselves, we can express ourselves, we can do the parallel play, hang time, right? It brings so much, I feel like, safety, not just connection and vulnerability, but safety into our lives because my gosh, the world is so uncertain. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? But if we can laugh, cry, play about it with our friends, I think that's got to be a part of the future. That's got to be the way forward.
And also identifying why your friends want to be your friend. What do you do for them? If you give advice, learn about giving advice. How can I give advice better? How can I make them feel more supported and seen? If our commonality is, hobbies and passions, well, let's set aside some money so that we can do these things that we like doing together. Lean into it, learn about it, lean into it, and prioritize it. And you will have a much more success in your friendships once you learn the language of it.
I love it. Anna Goldfarb, thank you so much for being on Flirtations today. The book, Modern Friendship, How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections, is out. I will have it linked in the show notes below. Final question, where they can find you on the internet, follow you. Yeah, you've got some articles out there. Plug it all.
Oh my gosh, I've written dozens of articles for the New York Times on friendships. We didn't even really get into this, that I'm a reporter. And I've written for The Atlantic. I've written for the Washington Post. This is stuff I've thought very deeply about, and I've interviewed the world's best cutting edge experts on these things. I'm not a guru. I'm not, this, it's really is grounded, and I'm excited about this. I'm passionate about this. You can find me on Instagram at Anna Goldfarb. I'm a little afraid of Instagram because I'm a middle-aged woman with 2 cats. I also do the Substack Friendship Explained, where I try to have some fun over there. And I want friendship to feel achievable. One thing I want to say is I will not suggest anything out of your comfort zone. It's important to me to meet people where they are. I'm not going to suggest you do things that feel wildly out of character, that's going to feel uncomfortable for you. These are just little tweaks just to that you can do, anyone can do to just adjust their mindset.
Yes.
So come on over, come to Modern Friendship. Like, we're here to help.
All right, Flirties, you know where to go, what your mission
Come on,
is.
Flirties. After
this interview, concluding right now, I'll have all those links in the show notes below. Anna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God. Thank you so much to Anna Goldfarb, author of the book Modern Friendship, How to Nurture Our Most Valued Connections, for coming on the show today to share so much with us about connection, friendship, and more. A fellow sociologist. I love getting into that topic. Thank you so much, Anna. Yes, for being on the program. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. That's for you, the Flirties. Please, yes, rate, review, subscribe to the show. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Loved recording it. Yes. Rate, review, subscribe. Share this episode with a friend, a family member, a coworker, a neighbor, someone you even mildly like, with a phone and an internet connection. Hell, even a desktop, a laptop. You never know. Anything they can use to stream as we build this flirt mission all over the world. I could not do this without you. Thank you so much for being here. All right, signing off officially here at Flirt Headquarters. My name is Benjamin. I'm the Flirt Coach, and Gay Libra Flirty, wishing you a very beautiful day and very happy flirting.